Hello, hello. Same time every night. And I even missed a night. So it is day 3. We're doing 10 steps to start a business tonight. And it's day 3, fund your business. This is the fun part. It's the money part, right? So, funding your business. Let me pull up my paperwork, my notes, so we can talk about funding the business. Hope everybody's doing okay on this Saturday night. If you're watching tonight, if not, whenever you're watching, hope you're doing okay. And we want to talk about the cost of the business first, because you have to count up the cost and know how much it will cost for your business. So one of the suggestions I have for anyone before you stop your job or quit your job, you should really be in the mentality of every day that you're working your job, you're getting ready for your business. That's what your focus should be if you're indeed thinking about entrepreneurship. So doing the right things, getting your credit together, paying your bills on time, building credit, all that becomes an asset and makes it so much easier to start your business. I hear so many people say, well, the bank won't give you a loan or whatever. But if you haven't been paying your business, your bills on time, just your basic household bills, then that's a problem. Why should they give you something for a business when the statistics of how long a business stays is very short? So you want to have this to your advantage when it comes to your financial aspects. So calculating the startup costs, let's kind of go through what those costs would be. All right. So some of the common startup costs, of course, if you need an office space, and even if you're going to do a business that maybe you don't need employees and things like that, think about having a small office space, whether it be a virtual versus there is Opa's virtual office. It's $99 where you get a phone line, phone number, fax number, actually answer service too. You can get access to a live person as well as an address, and it's all just $99. So, and that makes a difference because, again, building credit, when you get your business, if you have a landline or a regular phone line, it's easier to register with Google, Yelp, and all these other places and to get credit. It actually makes a difference than just using your home address. Equipment and supplies, communications, utilities, license and permits, insurance, an attorney and accountant, inventory, employee salaries, advertising and marketing, market research, printed marketing materials, and also developing a website or creating a website with email addresses of that domain name. Very, very critical. I want to back up a little bit. So your employee salaries, if you start a business and maybe you're not going to have very many, but you're planning to, go ahead. If you're going to have them within the year, just go ahead and figure out what the salary would be. I tell everyone just go to salary.com and you can get an idea of what a salary would be in your area, because you don't want to go lower than that. You can go the same or higher, but you want to be competitive in your salaries and realistic. So when you go for funding, it actually needs to make sense. So all of this you want to calculate. You make sure you're marketing. Spend money on marketing. Show that you know that you need to spend money on marketing. That needs to go in your all your startup costs. Right. So again, versus whether it be a bricks and mortar, it's a store or a regular building that you're trying to sell something out of, or an online store, or just some type of a service, those costs will make a difference and will vary. You also want to do what they call a break-even analysis, and that is just what it says, where it is that you break even. That allows you to know where your profit starts. If you do a break-even analysis and then you have to sell a whole lot of stuff till you get to that point, then maybe your expenses are too high, or you might not be realistic when it comes to the type of business that you want to do. All right, so make sure I covered everything on there. Yeah. And keep in mind, again, from the time that you register your business, anything that you're doing to prepare for your business, those are deductions. So you want to keep track of those. And that's, again, I mentioned this before, a reason that you do register when you know you're going to go into business, even if you're not ready that month, but you can calculate those costs. So actually funding the business, there's a lot of creative ways. And sometimes you just need to sit down with your banker. Sit down with your banker before you quit your job. Let them know what you're trying to do. You will be surprised. Don't go by what you hear, because most of the negatives that you hear are from who? People that don't have businesses, right? So again, if your credit is a certain way and the viability of the business or the feasibility of the business is very good, it's a good chance you can get a loan. I hear people talk about SBA. Go to SBA.gov. Look for lenders. There's other loan companies. Sometimes you need $5,000, $10,000, and you can build up to where you get the 100 and the 250,000. If you're female, there's a lot of cities that have, what they call micro loans. Those are easier to get. You don't go 6 months or 3 months to get the financing. They might take less than 30 days. And again, they're based on the feasibility of your business. And I do know people personally actually who've gotten both SBA and your the micro loans. And then there, like I said, there's other lenders. I know about Cabbage, and there's some others. I have a few contacts for hard money loans. And a lot of people veer away from those. But if your credit is just not right, or as much as you want, maybe you need some high price equipment, then you might do it. Get a higher interest rate, but have a plan for paying that off very quickly. So say it's a truck, and there is a year that you have before you can pay it off, right? So it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. If you multiply that times 12 and then you pay it off, whatever is left over, then you've cut out a lot of that interest. But it got you in your business, and you have to just remember, again, budgeting and paying that off very quickly. But it allows you to have, sometimes you don't even want to do that within the first 2 to 3 years. And a lot of times an accountant will actually explain how that depreciation works. And that works to your advantage at times. So we know it costs money to start the business, and funding is the most important. We've already talked about your business plan should have already been done, and just conducting market research. So that will make a difference of whether you go forward or not. Some other areas of funding, business, self-funding, and know when you maybe need line of credit versus just getting an all-out loan. A lot of people tell me, I need $250,000 to start this business, but do you really? If it's equipment, there's equipment loans that you can get. That's something different. Whatever the cost is to get in the building, the first and last month rent, maybe you want to add that up plus about 3 more months. Utilities, whatever it costs down, those kind of things. Having your salaries in place, your workers in place, actually add it up. Sometimes it's not as much as you think. And then multiply it times those 3 months and see what you come up with. Do the bare minimum. Because if you have a really good business, you should still make some kind of money. And the reason people say you don't really make a profit is maybe you have some loans that are outstanding, but that doesn't mean you're not going to, how do I say this? You're going to make a profit, but you're still paying back, so you still have outstanding debt. So that's what they mean by you're not making a profit. But you should really be making a profit every day. Something should be able to come out of that every day. And then, like I said, you should be able to pay off your debt as needed. So self-funding, sometimes even with say you have a 401k, again, having a plan, because you want to what's nice is if you took out a 401k, that you're putting it back in there within a year. And sometimes there are some workarounds to be able to get that money. When you put it up against a house, wouldn't always advise it. If you have a house, then you just may not be leveraging your credit very well. Because you should have a high enough credit score and maybe some other assets that will work towards getting a loan. Because again, if you start off with a small loan, pay that off within 3 months to 6 months, then that can go higher. Some people will use credit cards, combining them together. That helps. And then there's venture capital. I won't really go into that. I hear everybody wants an investor, but you really need to have a strong business. You really need to make sure you have that attorney for that kind of funding. A lot of times you have to give up equity. It's a little bit more complex. And then if you know, like I know, sometimes it doesn't matter if you give up that equity, but it's a business that you know that's not the one that you want long term in your family. You know, you want an exit plan anyway. You want to actually have a plan to, if you sold your business, you know, something that you can be comfortable with. And then you always can do other things. You want, again, that diversity. I talk about that all the time. You don't just want to do just entrepreneurship. Maybe buy some houses, invest in real estate, continue to build your stock, your mutual funds, and your stock. Do all of that. The other, crowdfunding. If you, I hear some people say they didn't do very well with crowdfunding. Well, if you have 1,000 friends on Facebook, you're probably not going to do very well on crowdfunding. Every now and then you have some videos and things like that go viral, but you really need to use your leverage, build relationships. It's all about building relationships, and then try your crowdfunding. It does work when your plan works. I mentioned the small business loan. There's so many ways to get those. Use Lender Match to find lenders who offer, well, I mentioned that. That's on the SBA.gov website, so you can always find those. It's actually several of them. I know at least 10 to 15 that are listed on the site all the time. All right. And then you want to look and see which banks work with SBA. So don't just get stuck on a bank. Like right now in Nashville, I know that U.S. Bank is huge for giving money right now. Tennessee Bank is huge for giving money right now. Even Wells Fargo, I hear that. And I mentioned yesterday they have that business plan tool that you can use. All right. So just making sure I've covered what the highlights of what I think you should know. And it's all about that budget, all about just being fiscally responsible. That is so, so important that you manage your money very, very well, that you don't just step out there on a whim, that you plan before you quit your job. If you're already in business and you want to start another business, you still want to plan. Just take your time and plan, and talk to the people that are already doing the business. Talk to your financial bankers, you know, even if it's more than one bank, even if you don't bank somewhere, go talk to them. Don't just get stuck on a credit union. Go talk to them. All right? Because going to buy, say, a house or a vehicle, a lot of times is different. If your business is, that feasibility of your business is good, you might get